Hello and welcome. My name is Charles Johnson, lead trainer and technical engineer at Lynxspring, and I'm creating a unique video here. It actually came from an email just after my N4 class today. Someone shot me an email and said, "Hey, I'm kind of looking for something here. Can you help me out?" And so I kind of want to put this video out to kind of show other people how to create complex BQL queries, or what could be considered complex BQL queries. So what this customer actually needs is they want to look for the name of the controller, as well as the model, the firmware revision, and application software version. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and build the query. Starting with the first thing is name, and then we're going to add on to model. Then we'll add on for firmware revision and application software version. So the first thing I want to talk about is the slot sheet, or the AX slot sheet. I look at this continuously, and this helps me find things that I need for BQL. So for example, if I right click and go to views and go to AX slot sheet on the BACnet network, I can see that I have my devices here and I have the slot as name. So I know right there the first thing that I'm going to need is name, and that's going to be all lowercase here. So now if I go here and use these two, we can see now that if I just type in, it's just going to be name here, all lowercase. And if I were to, even then more importantly, do percent name percent, that would be the actual Baja format or B format. So to create queries, you go to File, Open, and Query. And you can see here that I already have kind of started this up here. I was actually playing with this before. And so I'm going to set my custom type to BACnet and BACnet device, and I'm going to set my column as name and displayed as controller name. And so if I click OK here, we see that I now have controller name and my heating plant, my air handler controller. So we have that part correct. But where do we find the application software version, the model name, and the revision? Well, that's actually all under the config object here. And if I double click on the config object, we see that I have the device object, which has object name, description, etc. And so then if I double click on the device object, let me go to the property sheet here. We can see that under config, it's just going to take a moment here. And since I'm connecting remotely, it's going to be a little slower. So under device object here, we're going to see that we have model name, firmware revision, and application software version. So we've got this all right here that we want to display. And so what we need to do is we need to build queries based upon the slot sheet of how this is comprised. And so if I right click on my heating plant here and I go to its AX slot sheet, we see that we have the property config. And so with that, we're going to be doing our next tab here, with going to be something of config dot something. And obviously under config we have device object. And so I'm going to go to the next line down. And so since we have config and under its slot sheet is device object, that's how we get config.device object. And then if I right click on device object, I go to its slot sheet, and now I see that I have model name, firmware revision, and application software revision. So what that's actually going to look like here with these three, let me just do these arrows here. Sorry. I think it's, do I do it this way? Yep. Here, here, and here. I'm not going to go ahead and change, I'm not going to change that arrow right now. But those are where we're going to need model name, firmware revision, application software version. And so if I go back to query here, just to confirm what we have, let's go ahead and add another column. So we're going to hit the plus here in the columns, and we're going to say config dot device object dot, we're going to do model name, or model name as model name. So to make sure this confirms that we're on the right track, if I click OK here, we now see that it has my heating plant, and now we have my Niagara Station. So now we can actually complete the rest of the query here by going back here, and we're going to add 2 more columns. And so let's go ahead and copy the config.object.deviceObject dot here. And so let's go ahead and do dot firmware revision as firmware revision. And let's go ahead and expand this to see if that actually will show it all. I don't think it will. I wish it actually would stretch this out so you could see it more. But let's now go ahead and Control V and do application software version. And we'll go application software version. And now we're going to go ahead and click OK. So now it brings everything up here. So you can actually see the entire thing right here. So if I were to get my zoom in on again, let's not. So I'm actually just I'm going to go ahead and just hit the edit button and literally just copy this BQL here. And so I'm going to go ahead and open this up in a notepad here for us. So let me get that going here and hit new and bring this over. And we can see here that we are going to do a BQL select where name as controller name, config.deviceObject.modelName as model name, config.deviceObject.firmware revision as firmware revision, and config.deviceObject.application software version as the application software version from BACnet device. And so again, that object actually gets us this little BQL query right here. So again, being able to just look at the AX slot sheet of properties, or the AX slot sheet of components, and then continuing to build from there is how you learn how to build proper BQL queries. So I hope that you've learned something here today, and I'll see you on the next one.